Dear students, I have to continue the lesson that is organisms and populations. In that, today's topic will be population interactions. We have different kinds of interactions without interdependence of life. There is no life on this earth. So, organisms belonging to different populations or species actually interact for food, shelter, mating, or for other necessities, mainly for food, shelter, and mating, along with other necessities. Now, what are the types of interactions? There are two types of interactions. One, interspecific interactions. Intraspecific interactions. That is, intra means within. So interaction within the members of same species. Interaction within the members of same species, that is called what is known as intraspecific interactions. For example, social organization between the honeybees, or we have aggregation of insects during rainy season, or colonization. These are all examples of, that is, intraspecific interactions within the same species. Then intraspecific interaction is observed for all livelihood, that is processes. In all the livelihood processes, you could see what is called intraspecific interactions. What are the different types of livelihood processes which involve intraspecific interactions? For example, feeding, the breeding, that is a reproduction, territoriality, its own territory. For example, if you have the honeycombs, one honeycomb just actually will not allow the entry of, that is the honeybees from another honeycomb. So, breeding, territoriality, and protection. Now, the second type, interspecific. The meaning for that one, in between. This is actually within, this is in between. So, interspecific or interaction associations. So, it can be observed among organisms of different species. Now, interspecific association can be of different types. It may be neutral, it may be positive, it may be negative. So, interspecific or interaction association is normally among organisms of different species, and it may be of one type, neutral or positive or negative. Now, what is neutral? Here, actually, association occurs between two different species, and these two species live together but do not affect each other. That's the meaning for them, but do not actually affect each other. Living together without affecting each other, that condition is called neutral. That is between two different species. Say an example, if you have in a tree, we have different types of birds. They are living together without affecting each other, except one or two cases. This is called neutral interspecific interaction association. Okay, so we have to go for what is positive interspecific association, what is negative interspecific association. Now, what do you mean by positive interspecific association? It is a symbiotic relationship, that is mutual. The meaning for that one, symbiotic, mutual relationship, in which no organism in association is harmed. Then what will happen? And either one or both may be benefited. There is no harm for any one of the organisms. There is a benefit for either one or both. Now, it is of two types. One, commensalism. In commensalism, one partner is benefited, another partner is neither harmed nor benefited. So, benefit for one partner, there is no harm for another partner. The second type, mutualism. Here, both the partners are benefited. Give and take policy. Mutually, just exit. Give and take policy. Then, what will be negative? One or both the partners, the interacting organisms, will be affected. So, harmless, either one or both. Here, no organism is harmed, but benefit for one or both. Here, what is happening? One or both of the interacting organisms will be affected. So we have competition, parasitism, and predation. Competition between the individuals of the same species or different species. That means we have intraspecific competition and interspecific competition. Parasitism, the animal which lives at the expense of another organism, that is called the host, that is called as a parasite. So here one organism is benefited, namely the parasite, the one which provides shelter and food, accommodation, is the host which is harmed by the parasite. Now predation. So it is a kind of association one organism kills another organism which is called as a prey. The organism which kills the prey is called as a predator, and the organism which is being killed is called what is known as actually that is a prey. For example, lion is a predator and we have deer is a prey. Now, so that's about competition, parasitism and predation. Together, what we have the negative, that is interspecific interactions. Now, what are the common type of interspecific interactions? If you are just collecting together commensalism, mutualism, then competition, parasitism, and predation, along with one more what is called amensalism. So we have amensalism, mutualism, commensalism, parasitism, predation, and also we have the sixth one, competition. We have the sixth one, competition. So totally there are 6 different types of interspecific competitions. We have to discuss one by one: amensalism, mutualism, commensalism, then parasitism. Now let's see the different types of what we call interspecific interactions. Number one, amensalism. I put a symbol minus and 0. This is one species, this is another species. The meaning for that one, there is a harm for one species and there is no gain or loss for another species. If you are taking species A and B, A is harm, there is a loss, but that is B is neither affected nor harmed. Okay, so this is the ecological interaction in which an individual species harm another. So this one harm another without obtaining benefit. There is no benefit in that what is called relationship for one species. One species is harmed, there is no benefit for another species. For example, large powerful animals harm weak animals. It's an example of cat and rat. These are the smaller animals which are normally destroyed by the elephant's feet while the elephant is walking on the surface. So animals, actually large powerful animals harm weak animals. That's the difference. So there is no benefit for what is called actually the large powerful animals. Unknowingly they are doing the event. But the weak animals are affected. That's why I say there is a loss for the weak animals, no loss, no gain for the large powerful animals. Let's take an example. Animals destroyed at the feet of elephants. At the feet of elephants. At the feet of elephants. So elephants is a powerful large animal. Unknowingly it just keeps normally its leg or foot on what we call rat or cat. So these animals are destroyed, loss for these animals, but there is no gain. That's why I say without obtaining benefit. While doing so, the elephant gets nothing. But the animals, the smaller animals, namely the cat and rat, are destroyed. Now the second type of what is called just interactions, what we call interspecific interactions. Mutualism. Now it is a type of interaction. I put symbol plus plus. So that means there is a gain for both the partners. Reciprocal exchange, mutual exchange. So it's a type of interaction where both the species benefit from interaction. There is a benefit for both species benefit. That's why it's called as mutualism, give and take policy. Now there are two types of mutualistic animals. One, facultative mutualism, otherwise called temporary. Another one, obligate, that is mutualism, otherwise called permanent. Now, when the species are actually capable of existence, independent of one another. So one species, even without association, can just survive, independent. And such cases, temporary mutualism. So there is a mutualism between two animals or two species, and in that association they are benefited, but sometimes one species may live without the help of another, independent existence. When the species are capable of when the species are capable of existence independent of one another. When they are together, they form association. When they are separated, they live independently. That is called facultative. Another one, obligate. This is a permanent mutualism. When the relationship is imperative, the meaning for that one permanent. When the relationship is imperative, the meaning for that one is permanent of the existence of one or both species. So when the two species are lived together permanently, give and take policy. See, for example, lichens, the clan association lichens. Now, in that case, you know that one, it's a combination of algae and fungi. Always they remain together to form a compound plant, what is called the lichens. Okay, this is an example for that is what we have mutualism, obligate. Now, for the temporary, we have the birds, actually a crocodile bird, a plover bird, that is normally removing what we call the small organisms found between the teeth, thereby helping what we call the crocodile. But this relationship is temporary, and they also live independently when they are separated. They are not depending on each other permanently. The crocodile bird and the crocodile, they live together for some time, and when separated, they normally live independently of one another. So that's about obligate. We have to go for the different examples for mutualism. Okay. Now let's see the examples of mutualism. We have a number of examples. One, the mutualism between the bacteria and the ceca and intestine of herbivores. The relationship between bacteria and herbivores. Those bacteria living in the cecum and intestine of herbivores aid or help in the digestion of cellulose, because these animals are eating on grasses which is rich in cellulose, digestion of cellulose. At the same time, now just what we have, the herbivores, in return, the host, namely the herbivores, provide suitable environment for the growth of bacteria. So it provides accommodation, suitable environment for the growth of bacteria. So both are mutually beneficial. This is one, mutualism between bacteria and herbivores. Number two, the flowers and the insects and birds. Relationship between the flowers and the birds and insects. You know, in flowers, cross-pollination is affected by what we have the insects and the flowers. And what for they are reaching the flowers? They are seeking nectar from the flowers and also the pollen as a food, which is of great importance in agriculture. So it is a relationship, mutual relationship between the flowers and insects and birds. Flowers provide nectar and what we have the pollen to these animals, the food. At the same time, the birds and insects affect the cross-pollination of the flowers. So both are mutually beneficial. Now we have, very often you could see, that is small birds are sitting in the opened mouth of the crocodile and taking or picking something from the teeth. So small birds cleaning the teeth of crocodiles. They are capturing what we call the parasites or leech. Normally most crocodiles in their buccal cavity just normally leech. So the birds are actually sitting on the teeth and capturing the leeches, so that normally what is happening, the crocodiles are relieved from the parasites or from the animals found in the buccal cavity of them. It's being done by what is called a bird, a small bird, normally called plover bird. So The relationship between the crocodile and the birds. Both are mutually beneficial. Small birds cleaning the teeth of crocodiles. Here the birds get food and the teeth of crocodile is cleaned. So cleaning of the teeth, so the benefit for the crocodiles, and the same time now the flower bird gets its food. Now the last one, there is a relationship between a hermit crab and sea animal. Hermit crab is different from the crab. In the case of hermit crab, there is no outer shell. The body is exposed. That's why they get large or accommodated inside the empty shell of mollusk. So, while it is inside the shell of mollusk, now the sedentary animal, sea animal, just actually attach itself on the surface of the shell. So, when the animal is moving from one place to another, what will happen? The sea animal gets its food. At the same time, what is happening? That is actually the hermit crab is protected from the enemies by the stinging cells, nematocyst or nidoblast, one of the properties of sedentary. So the stinging cells protect the hermit crab from the enemies. So both are mutually beneficial. So sea anemone protects the hermit crab. In its turn, hermit crab carries the sea anemone from different places so that the sea anemone gets its food. That's the benefit. Okay, so that's a relationship between two different animals which are living together and mutually beneficial. Let's about the second kind of what we have animal association. First one, commensalism. The second one, mutualism. We have to go for the third one, commensalism. Now the next interspecific association is commensalism. I am putting the symbols for partner A plus and then partner B 0. So this is the organism gets benefited and this is the organism neither benefited nor harmed. There is no benefit or no loss for this organism. Benefit only for one organism only. So this defines the interaction in which two or more species are mutually associated in activities. What for? Centering on food, mainly for food. So the meaning for commensalism, eating at the same table without affecting each other. Eating at the same table without affecting each other. That is what's called commensalism. So the association is mainly concerned with what's called the food, and one species at least derives benefit from the association, while other associates are neither benefited nor harmed. There is no benefit, there is no loss. So two or more species associate together mutually, mainly centering on food, just mainly concerned with the food. In that one organism derives benefit and another organism is neither benefited nor harmed. That's about that one. Now, today, the concept of commensalism has been broadened. So, in the past, it was centered around only the food, but now it has been extended to other activities too. So, the concept of commensalism has been broadened in recent years. What for? To apply co-actions, co-actions like cover, support, production, and locomotion. In the past, it was only concerned with the food. Now, it is related to co-actions also. It applies co-actions like cover, support, production, and locomotion. We have two examples in the book. One example, barnacles. It is a crustacean, a sedentary animal. It is normally attached to the boat surface underneath or to the ship, causing actually increase in weight of the ship. Very often the ship is towed towards what we have yard and the barnacles are cleaned. So the barnacles are sedentary crustaceans without any head, tentacles, etc. A shelled animal. So they attach themselves to the body of whales. So we have association between the barnacles and whales. So that they can travel thousands of actually what become miles because the whale is moving thousands of miles. While moving, what's happening? These barnacles collecting and filtering food, collecting and filtering food, that is actually from, this is what we have the food, collecting and filtering food from moving what? Because animal is moving faster while moving. Now the animal, attached animal, collects food, filtering the food from the moving water. So by this association, the whales are not affected, also not benefited. So the whales are not affected by the barnacles. Here the benefit is only for the barnacles. In this association, the whale is not affected anyway. Another association between the cattle and egrets, the bird, you might have seen this one, egret and cat, another example. So the egrets are found with the cat. Now they catch the insects which are normally disturbed by the cat. So in that one, the bird's egret, the bird gets benefited and there is no benefit and no loss to the cat. So it is association between cattle and egret. The insects which are disturbed by what we have as a cattle are being caught by the egrets so that they get food, and by that association the cattle is not affected. This is a second, what is called the example, the second example. Okay, that's about what we have commensalism. Now the another example for that is commensalism, the bird, egrets and cat. Birds catch insects, what I explained earlier, which are disturbed by cat. So the birds benefit, while the cattle are not affected. That is commensalism. Plus, comma 0. One partner gets benefited, another one neither benefited nor harm. Now the next one is competition. In competition between two individuals or two species, A and B, and both just normally lost something, either even death also. So it refers to the type of interaction in which individuals of a species are members of different species. While the meaning for that one, compete. Y means compete. So individuals of a species, same species, or we have what is called the different species, Y compete for limited what is called availability of resources in the form of food, water, nesting space, cover, mates or other resources. So there is a competition between the individuals of different species. They compete for limited source of food, water, nesting space, cover, mates or other resources. Suppose when the resources are more than adequate, there is no competition occurs, more than adequate, to meet the demands of the organism seeking them. That is, competition does not occur. If the availability of food is more, there is no competition. So when you have actually resources more than normal level, adequate, then what we have the organism seeking competition does not occur. Suppose when we have inadequate resource to satisfy the need of the organism, now what will happen? The weakest, the least adaptive, or least aggressive individuals are forced to challenge, or challenged by what is called a strong individual. There is a competition. In that competition, the weak individuals are eliminated, excluded from the population because of what is called actually competition. The weaker individuals or least aggressive individuals are eliminated, or least adapted individuals are eliminated. This principle or this phenomenon is known as competitive exclusion principle of Harding. A principle has been put forth by Harding. So according to Harding, if there is a competition between two individuals or two species, the stronger individuals get hold of the environment and the weaker individuals are eliminated or excluded from the environment. This principle is called what is known as competitive exclusion principle of Harding, eliminated from that population. That's about what we have competition. We have to find out on what basis the degree of competition occurs. The degree of competition depends on various factors. So far we have seen about the competition. Now, the degree of competition, whether it is more, strong, or normal, etc. So competition is usually keen, very just actually observable between the individuals of same species. So it is more keen with reference to intraspecific competition because these individuals have identical requirements for food, mates, and so on. That's why intraspecific competition is always severe. That's why it's given the word keen. Whereas the interspecific competition occurs where different species require at least some resource materials or conditions in common. So interspecific competitions occur between the species. At least some resources, materials, or conditions which are common to both. Between two different species, some resources are common. At times we have interspecific competition. Now the extent of similarity, what are the reasons? The severity of competition depends on whether it is more severe. The severity of competition depends on the two following factors. With examples. Now the extent of similarity or overlap. Similarity between the individuals and also in the requirements of different individuals. So when there is a similarity or overlap in the requirements of different individuals, so overlap, the same kind of food, same kind of what is called the space, the shelter, etc. When they have the same type of what is called niche also, now we have the competition is severe. So the extent of similarity or overlap in the requirements of different individuals now increase the severity of competition. When there is a common resource for two different species, then the severity is more. Then shortage of supply in the habitat. When there is a shortage of supply of food or space or meat, then competition occurs between the individuals of different species because they have to obtain the space, the habitat. So shortage of supply in the habitat in the form of food, space, meats, etc. For example, birds compete with the squirrels in the tree for nuts and seeds. When there is availability of nuts and seeds, there is no competition between birds and squirrels. When there is a shortage in supply of these requirements, there is a nuts and seeds of food, there is a competition between the birds and the squirrels. It is severe. Similarly, insects and ungulates. Ungulates means what is called actually the animals with hooves. Hoofed animals like horses, then any other grass animals with the hoof. So insects and ungulates. This is another competition between what's called insects and ungulates. They compete for food in grasslands because the animals, insects as well as ungulates, they are competing for what we have, that is the grasses available in the grasslands. That's about the degree of competition. So with that I concluded the four interspecific competitions, interspecific what is called actually interactions, commensalism, mutualism, commensalism, and also what we call competition, the degree of competition. We have two more words for the parasitism, the different types of parasites and predation. We'll see it in the next class.